Hey guys, so I got a hard truth that I gotta tell you guys, and a lot of people are not gonna like it. I mean, I can already hear the leftist comments on this video, if this video actually does anything. So, I think, in my honest opinion, just stop asking Trump to try to arrest people. And I'm not saying this about like the illegal immigrants or criminals in general, okay? If somebody like committed a crime and the FBI is on them, they're going to get arrested. I'm talking about like the politicians, the so-called journalists, the like activists, like anyone like that. No, I'm not saying don't try to arrest these people if they have committed a crime, but stop acting as if Trump is not trying to. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is, just look at Don Lemon, for example, okay? Don Lemon knew ahead of time, and he filmed himself ahead of time, knowing that a protest group was about to go into a church. Now, ignorance of the law does not excuse you from violating it, because ignorance can't be proven. So if you go above the speed limit, for example, and you say, you get caught by the police, and you say, "Officer, I haven't seen like any speed limit signs for like the last 3 miles." The officer is just going to say, it doesn't matter. You're just going to get hit with a speeding ticket, and then you can argue it in court if you really want to. And if an officer arrests you for something that you didn't do, and it's later proven that you were innocent, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to get like compensated for it. Now, Don Lemon, apparently he doesn't know that it is illegal to hold a protest in a church during Mass. It is illegal to prevent people from engaging in a religious sacrament or a religious, like a Mass or whatever Muslims or Jewish people have, like a service, a religious service. Okay? So he says that, well, okay, he knew that those people were going to break into a church to protest. He knew they were going to break into the church during Mass, the protest. Now, what a lot of people, we were celebrating for days because Trump said, or Pan Bondi said, that they were going to hit him with the KKK Act. And they were going to hit him with a bunch of other, like, charges. And they were going to arrest him and make him pay for violating people's First Amendment right to freedom of religion. And then what happens? Unlike, Google AI can't tell me for sure if it was the 22nd or the 23rd. And either way, it doesn't matter. Because on one of those days, Trump's DOJ went to the Minnesota magistrate, a judge, and tried to have Don Lemon charged. And the judge threw it out immediately, saying that it's his First Amendment right to freedom of the press. And people, like, Black Conservative Perspective, like, I think Anthony Brian Logan, and a few other right-wing commentators said that you can't join a bunch of bank robbers in a robbery, film it, and then just say to the police that you're a journalist. If you know that someone's about to rob a bank and you don't call the police, but instead you go into the bank with the robbers and allow them to start the robbery and just film it, knowing that they were going to do it. It doesn't matter if you were not going to keep any of the money for yourself. Like, you went into the bank knowing someone was about to commit a crime, and then you worked with the robbers to make a news story that you knew you were going to publish. Like, that should be against the law, because you're basically like, you're giving these guys like publicity, saying that like, oh yeah, look at these robbers, they're just robbing the bank, it's no big deal, like this guy's my friend, like he's not gonna hurt me, but you know, if anyone else in here moves, they'll probably get hurt, but not me. They allowed me to come in here to film them, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of views on YouTube and a bunch of ad revenue and like monetization for this video and make a lot of money off this video because these guys agreed to let me come in here to film their robbery. That's basically what Don Lemon kind of did. Like, those protesters broke into a church during Mass, violating several ordinances that says that that's illegal. You can't do that. You can go to jail up to 10 years. And Don Lemon knowingly participated in that to get footage to post online so that he can make money off the monetization on it. And he filmed himself saying that he knew they were going to do it ahead of time. Instead of calling the police, instead of going in there and warning the pastor, instead of just not getting involved and walking away, he knowingly participated in the protest and basically talked down to both the pastor and the and people in the congregation, saying that this is the First Amendment right to come in and protest during a mass on private property. Like, he defended the protesters to the parishioners that Don Lemon also admitted were terrified, and that a lot of the kids and people in the parish were traumatized. Like, Don Lemon says that, wow, this is probably a traumatic experience for a bunch of these parishioners, but that's just the price we pay for the right to protest. Which, again, this was an illegal protest. You're not allowed to go onto private property and to interrupt the mass. Now, again, ignorance of the law does not excuse you from being charged. If you break the speed limit, you can be stopped and charged, and you cannot plead ignorance to get out of it. I mean, maybe the officer will be nice and be like, oh, okay, fine. The speed limit on this street is this many miles per hour, and if I see you doing it again, you're going to get a ticket. And he just lets you off with a warning. An officer can choose to do that. But in this case, the FBI said Don Lemon broke this statute. He should not get off. We're going to charge them. We're going to charge him. And what happened? The judge, in less than a week, the judge said, nope, you're out. Now, Steve Bannon went to jail when he refused a congressional subpoena. He went to jail for a year. And Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton just also refused a congressional subpoena. Do you think they're going to go to jail? The answer is no. And I can tell you, Don Lemon, no matter what they try to charge him with, every single judge is going to say no. Letitia James, a prosecutor in New York City who ran on the platform that she was going to charge Trump and throw him in jail, which, by the way, you're not supposed, that's an activist. As a prosecutor, you're not supposed to run on the premise that you're going to find a crime and throw somebody in jail. If you were running as a prosecutor and you said that this guy is a mobster, we're going to make sure that he's hit with racketeering charges, we're going to throw him in jail. That's one thing. What Letitia James said is that she doesn't know what Trump did wrong, but she's going to run for office, and then once she's in office, she's going to figure out what he did wrong and then charge him. That is, at the very least, highly corrupt, if not outright illegal. Because that's what the Soviet Union did. The Soviet Union said that, show me the man and I will show you the crime. And what that means is that if they want to arrest somebody, that they will figure out some way, somehow, something to charge that person with. It doesn't matter if they actually committed a crime or not. They're just going to figure out some way they can get away with charging that person, and they're going to throw them in jail. And that's what Letitia James did. She didn't know if there was anything she could charge Trump with. But she just said, elect me, and I will find something, somehow, some way to charge Trump. Well, that's highly corrupt. And something else that's highly corrupt is that she is not a legal resident of New York City. I think she has an apartment in the city, but she doesn't live there. Now, for the sake of residence, for the sake of voting, what state you vote in depends entirely on where you live. So, literally, you have to sleep in your house so many times for you to be considered a resident of any state. For example, to be considered a resident of California, you have to live, sleep, spend a night in a California house at least like 3 months out of the year. Like, that's like the legal definition. The senator of California, the current senator, his house is in like Massachusetts. Like, I don't even know if he actually sleeps in California, if he actually stays in California. I think he just spends all his time in Washington, D.C. Now, for a senator, that makes more sense, because obviously you're going to have to sleep in D.C. You're going to have an apartment in D.C., and then you have to go to your congressional meetings. So you're going to have to go to each Congress member, or like each Congress session, and you're not going to be able to go to your house in California. It's just unlikely, okay? So he has a house, what is this, Shifty Shift? Adam Shift? Yeah, that's it. So it's easier for him to live in DC and to live in Massachusetts. So it kind of makes sense that Adam Schiff doesn't actually live in California. He has a house there that he never stays in, but he's still allowed to be the senator of California because it's just easier for him to go to this house in Massachusetts or to stay in his apartment in DC than it is for him to travel back and forth between California and Washington, D.C. so he can spend the 3 months in his house in California. That kind of makes sense. Letitia James, on the other hand, she has an apartment in New York City, as far as I'm aware, but her actual house is in New Jersey. That doesn't make as much sense because she works in New York City. It would be easier for her to stay in an apartment in New York City than it is for her to travel to New Jersey and commute back and forth every day. So legally she shouldn't be a resident of New York City, but she's an elected member of the New York City prosecution, and she doesn't even live in New York City. She doesn't stay in New York City. She shouldn't even be able to vote in New York City. The place where she should be able to vote is in New Jersey. Now again, you can say, okay, that's a little bit corrupt, but the people of New York City elected her. Fine. Okay, sure. But she put her dad as her husband on the paperwork for who, co-owns her house in, I think, New York City or in her house for New Jersey. I forget which is which right now. And that's considered mortgage fraud. Now, that's a provable crime. You're not allowed to do that. We have the paperwork that says she did this, and that's a crime. And Trump and his DOJ went to a judge and said, hey, we have this paperwork. It proves that she committed mortgage fraud. It's obvious. It's right here in black and white. Here's the evidence. She clearly did it. And they won't charge her. They threw it out. So they tried again. And a different judge threw it out. And then they tried a third time. And a different judge threw it out. Now, there's a lawyer online on YouTube who I watch a lot. At least I watch a lot of his shorts. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But he said that, Trump also committed mortgage fraud, which is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, whether or not Trump and Letitia James committed mortgage fraud, if they both committed mortgage fraud, then they both should be charged. And Trump's DOJ pointed out that, look, we have the paperwork. It says it right here on this piece of paper that she signed that her father is listed as her husband on the paperwork. That's illegal. It's right here. You can see it. At the very least, she should be forced to redo the paperwork. Even if you don't fine her, even if you don't give her jail time. This is something illegal that should be fixed. And a judge said, no, I don't care. We're throwing this out. We're not even going to make her come in to sign a new piece of paper that fixes this. It's just, look, if they have hard evidence that Letitia James committed mortgage fraud and the judge will not do anything about it, if multiple judges are not willing to do anything about it, then there's nothing that can be done about it. You can't arrest her. There's nothing that Trump can do. He can try to have her arrested for mortgage fraud 1,000,000 times, and 1,000,000 judges will throw it out. Time and time again. Despite the fact that we know she did it. We know she did something illegal. We have the paper right here where she signed a document where her father is listed as her husband. Which, by the way, marrying your father is also illegal. Obviously, she didn't actually marry her father, but that is an illegal act to sign that. She's never going to get arrested for it. The same is true with Don Lemon. He may have committed a crime. No judge is going to arrest him. None. None are going to charge him. No one's going to arrest Obama for killing an American citizen in Oman or Yemen. I think it was Yemen. He ordered the bombing of a United States city in a United States citizen, in Yemen, and he's not going to get arrested. They're not going to arrest Hillary Clinton for refusing a subpoena. They're not going to arrest Bill Clinton for refusing a subpoena. They're not going to arrest Hillary Clinton for destroying evidence and impeding a federal investigation into her email servers. Like, we know for a fact that they illegally destroyed evidence of her having a private server with classified information on it. Like, we know this for a fact, that she had a server, a private server, in her home that was unsecured, that had classified information on it. Trump can try to have her arrested for illegally destroying that evidence. And she's not going to go to jail. It's not going to happen. You can try. Trump has been trying to have Letitia James fired, or at least arrested. Trump has been trying to have Don Lemon arrested. Trump could try to have Tim Walz arrested for impeding federal law enforcement. He can try to arrest the Minneapolis mayor. No judge in that district is going to arrest the mayor. No judge in that district is going to arrest Tim Walz. It is not going to happen. Stop asking. Stop pretending that Trump's a coward. Stop saying that he's a coward for not trying to arrest these people. He is trying to arrest people. It's not going to work. Whenever you say that Trump is a coward, like Esma Gold said that Trump doesn't have the balls. I didn't vote for him because he doesn't have the cojones. He was never going to try to arrest these corrupt criminals. He's not going to try to arrest Democrats who are obviously engaging in corruption. The fact of the matter is that unless the Democrat Party itself agrees to arrest a fellow Democrat, these judges are not going to arrest anyone involved in corruption. It's not going to happen. 95% of the time, these judges are just going to throw the cases out. Now, if it's an illegal immigrant, if it's just some random two-bit crook on the street, if it's a gang member, if it's just some random punk on the street, Democrats don't care. They're going to allow that person 9 times out of 10 to be arrested. Now, whether or not those people are actually sent to prison, these activist judges keep letting these criminals back out on the street in these major cities. And all that's going to happen is that these criminals are going to keep doing horrible things. They're going to keep getting arrested. Activist judges are going to let them go. And it's just going to keep happening like that over and over and over and over again until they do something so inexcusable that a judge cannot just let them go. Like, if they pull a gun and actually, end someone's life, that is when that person is actually going to go to jail. And what is the problem with these judges just allowing these people to go every single time? Innocent people are going to get hurt. That's true. But what's going to happen in the long term is that more people are going to leave these cities. More people are not going to want to be in major cities. These major districts are just going to fall apart. These cities are going to end up completely depopulated. All these leftist people are just going to either learn the lesson, they're going to leave, they're going to probably stop voting a little bit less for Democrats, maybe vote pure Republican from then on. And then the people who are left in those cities are just going to be the hardest of hardcore extremist left-wing people. And as far as I'm concerned, that's none of my business. I'm not going to live in one of those major blue cities. I'm not going to have to deal with these people. If they want to destroy their city, if they want to be surrounded by 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 left-wing extremists, fine. Let them do it. Let them completely destroy Minneapolis. Let them completely destroy Detroit. Let New York City be completely destroyed. Because I know it's sad, I know it's depressing, I know it's black-pilled, but we're never going to convince these people to stop voting for Democrats. Detroit has been voting Democrats since like the 70s. Every single city council member, commissioner, mayor has been a Democrat in Detroit since the 70s. There hasn't been a single Republican, I'm sure, in any of those positions for the last 60 years. Detroit just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and more depopulated and more depopulated. It went from 2.3 million people, or 2.2 million people, to less than 600,000, and they're just going to keep voting Democrat again and again and again, and the population is just going to go down to 500,000, 400,000, 300,000, and they will keep voting Democrats forever. They will never vote in a Republican. Give up. Surrender. That's just no man's land for Republicans at this point. As much as I would love for Republicans just to come in and spend up $2 billion trying to run in Detroit. Just every single position, just advertisement, buy every single billboard in the entire county and try to run Republicans in every single office in Detroit. These people they will vote 70% Democrat and 30% Republican every single time. Just let them do it. They're going to lose. These cities are just going to fall to complete ruins, and a lot of people are going to move out to the suburbs. They're going to become more moderate, and then we can just point and laugh at these major cities. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's just the way things are going to be. We have to win 2026. We have to win 2028. And the more illegal immigrants that are removed from this country, Democrats will lose probably a dozen seats in Congress by the 2030 census. Okay? I mean, that's just what we gotta wait on. We just gotta wait on these guys to completely destroy their major cities, completely alienate all their voters. As much as we want to try, we can try to arrest these people. We can try to arrest Tim Walz, but stop calling Trump a coward. He is not. He is trying, but these judges won't let him. You can't just remove the judges. A lot of these judges were actually appointed by Trump because he didn't realize that they would do this when he appointed them during his first term. Because a bunch of Republicans, a bunch of rhinos said, hey, this is a good judge. You should have let him go into this position. And Trump is like, okay, I guess I don't know any better. I'll believe you. And then he foolishly believed these people, and now it's too late. Now he's like, well, I put this guy in my first term, and he just shot down my 20th attempt to hold somebody accountable. Oh, well, I guess I'm just going to have to let that district fall to ruins at this point, because that judge is completely misaligned, and we can't do anything to get rid of him. And people will say, just impeach the judge. That's even less likely than arresting Hillary Clinton. It is more likely for you to arrest Hillary Clinton than it is to impeach a judge. It's not going to happen, guys. Trump is not a coward. He just knows that It's pointless. Just let them be miserable. Let them destroy their cities. Let them destroy their neighborhood. Let them just completely collapse these places. And he'll just go and he'll deport 1 million immigrants. And then during the next census, the Democrats are going to lose like 10 House seats. And then that's just going to be how we have to fix things in the long term. In the long term, we just have to keep removing illegal immigrants, voting in Republicans, and allowing the Democrats to fade into obscurity. And over time, maybe 10, 20 years from now, maybe then we could arrest a Democrat. But you're not going to do it now. You're not going to do it during Trump's term. You're probably not going to do it during the next Republican's term. You're not going to do it maybe even 10 Republicans down the line. We might not be able to arrest a Democrat for committing actual provable corruption. I'm sorry. I hate to be blackpilled here. I'm not saying don't try, but stop pretending that Trump has any bearing on who actually gets punished for something that we can prove that they did. Because the judges don't care. They don't. They just simply don't. And it's the same thing with Trump. They can try to throw Trump in jail. Trust me, no matter how much they try, they're never going to get Trump on anything. They're going to try to throw Trump in jail, and some way, somehow, Trump is going to never go to jail. And if he ends up in jail, at that point, I'll eat my words and I'll say, it's hopeless at that point. I'll just say it's hopeless at that point. Because he would be the first president in American history who ever went to jail. Even Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy who outright betrayed the United States, broke his oath to Congress, to the Constitution, to form a separatist government. Even he didn't go to jail. And if Jefferson Davis is not going to jail, then if Trump does go to jail, then it's hopeless at that point. At that point, the United States is gone. I'm just being honest with you. I can 99% chance, no matter what they try to charge Trump with, he's not going to jail. No matter how much Democrats say they're going to charge him, no matter how much they say they're going to impeach him, no matter how much they say that they're going to lock him up, 99% chance they're not going to be able to. And if they do, at that point, America is just done. If they're not going to lock up Jefferson Davis, but they lock up Trump, America is just done at that point. I'm just being honest. I hate to sound black-pilled. That's just the reality. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I'm frustrated too, guys. I am very frustrated that we have the documentation. We have the videos. We know these people committed crimes. But the judges just say, laugh out loud, nope. They don't care. They don't care. We can have... I'm going to leave it there. Bye, guys.